Starring Drew Harrison and Will Abeles.
Hey, welcome back to another episode of My Funny Friends. I am one half of your hosting duo, Drew Harrison, and as always, I'm joined by the lovely Will Abeles. Will, how
Hello,
you doing?
Drew. Hi, Drew.
Hey, I like you got the pot. You got game face on. Are you ready to crush this intro? Is that
I just walked in from the gym. I'm feeling confident.
You got everything. Yeah, you're selling it right now. I feel confident in you.
Yeah, my back's a little sore, so it's a little bit of that too. You know.
Okay. Well, you could have let me roll with. You could have let me keep believing you had hero pose going on.
I was like pretty much done, and then then a very attractive woman walked in. I was like, "Well, I'll do one more."
And then you
just did this, and I was like, "Yep, nope, back's done. That's
the first rule of turning 30. It's never the extra one's never worth it.
I think the first rule of turning 30 was always go extra in the gym.
You misread the rules completely.
Yeah, I do. Yeah. You haven't seen what my gym looks like. It's just like it's just insane. Everyone's a model. Everyone's a model at my gym. It's infuriating.
Okay. All right.
And also invigorating at the same time.
All right. We'll take that new invigorate. What's the adjective here? Invigoratum? Invigor?
I think it's just vigor, isn't it?
I don't know, man. You're asking the wrong person.
Well, that's clear.
I'm psyched. Take that confidence. Crush this guest intro. Let's do this.
So this week's guest is someone who I always love running into on the road, and it is never predictable. I've run into her. I've run into her in Indianapolis. I've run into her in Portland, Maine, and probably a few other spots that
I ran into her in Huntsville.
All over. She's all over. She's a woman about the nation, so to speak. One of my favorites. Everyone, give it up for Reena Calm, everyone.
Yeah.
Wow.
Hey.
Hi. Hey,
thanks for joining us. Thanks for the lovely background as well. That's awesome.
Yes, that's very nice.
Yeah, right? Not bad. Not bad. This is my home is where you park it vibe coming in from La Crosse, Wisconsin today.
I dig it. Very colorful. What's the weather like? Because we can't go outside here.
It's hot as hell. It's like,
is it?
You know, it's been a couple hot days in the van. I'll say that much, but I still am loving it. So, I'm kind of camping my way down the Mississippi River this week and taking my time. So that's nice. A luxury.
There you go.
Is this the first stop on the tour down the Mississippi?
I mean, it's not really a tour.
It's just more of like you're just going down.
I'm relaxing this week. I'm losing
summer
my mind,
vacay,
to be completely honest. So I wouldn't call it a summer vacay. It's more like a practical breather on the grind.
Okay.
And I'm working on promoting my album release all week, so I'm really psyched to be recording with you guys. But yeah, my next show is on Friday, so a lot's happened in the last few months, and I think I just need a little bit of time to process.
Sure.
Very true. You got to take care of yourself first and foremost.
So for those of our listeners at home who don't know, you want to talk about your approach to housing so that they have a better understanding of
you sound like somebody who's like just trying so hard to be like PC about something that's like awkward, you know what I mean? Like,
well, I was gonna say approach to comedy, and then I was
like, to describe your current situation.
Like you're not supposed to say homeless now about unsheltered people is like the new whatever.
You're more sheltered than most.
I am very sheltered, and also, the opposite of sheltered if you're talking about exposure.
Okay, yeah, fair.
Anyway, so I'm currently the only woman that I know of in the U.S. that's a full-time road comic, and so I'm definitely doing the whole van life thing right now, and I have been, well, technically it's been van life since May, but I've been doing this road life thing for a few years now. It more happened than was a decision that I ever made. So for several years, I was working the road, living out of a converted Prius. I got in 2019, and so yeah, I'm like a real road dog, and yeah, I'm trying to learn how to like, enjoy what I've built right now instead of just like it all happened as like a necessity thing, like living on the road. And I do love it, but now I'm trying to like make it enjoyable and comfortable rather than just insane.
Right.
Well, let's take a step back and kind of start from the beginning. Where did you start stand-up comedy?
I started in Chicago, and I moved there when I was 21, and I did improv for a long time, and then I started my own open mic with a guy I met in improv. And so when I started comedy, it was in Chicago only. I didn't even have a car. And then I was like renting cars even for my first road gigs, but you just start getting outside of town.
Yeah.
And these little loops turned into bigger loops. And next thing you know, I'm in Huntsville and Indianapolis and Maine. I'm from Massachusetts. So the whole East Coast run, where I think that's maybe where I met you, Will.
I'm pretty sure. I think that was the first time we met was Portland, I believe.
Yeah. And like that whole East Coast run was just like, hey, you know what? I'm here and I have family and things to do, but like I'm hitting all these things off my list right now. So
yeah,
I don't feel like I ever go back to like a Delaware, you know?
Yeah. Listen, I've had some good shows in Delaware.
Have you? Well, it was not the one
that's actually not true. I actually haven't had a good show in Delaware. I've had a show in Delaware, but I've not had a good show.
There's a difference.
Lied.
There's a difference.
Yeah, that was like one of those bad ones for me. That was like, wow, we're never going to be able to shake the feeling of that, are we? Like
you wake up in a cold sweat months later. Yeah.
I'm gonna think about this.
All I will tell you about it. There was like nobody there, but the guy that ran it, his name, I think it's Fenris. It's just one guy, like Cher, one name, Fenris, and he has a bit about being. Maybe it's like a half song, half bit. It's like a very slow song, so it's like just a meandering song joke that is about him being what he calls a pussy terrorist. And then he plays chimes. He has chimes on stage, and he has like a whole thing of chimes.
I think I've heard of this guy.
Oh no!
No, that should be illegal.
Oh no!
I mean, I'm part of the problem right now.
The chimes are ringing a bell.
Okay. All right. You're done here.
I'll see you guys later. You two
Yeah.
Anyway, Delaware, thumbs down. They don't make the best comedians or presidents, if you ask
me. Dang, 2 burns in a row.
I went there.
Also, funny enough, I think when we first met, I want to say it was 2019. Does that sound right? Was that probably around then?
No, it was 2018 if it was in Maine.
Okay.
No, 2019. You're right.
Yeah.
Nope, you're wrong. I don't remember. No, 2019. Yeah, 2019.
Yep. Well, even if it was 2018, the point was I was living in my car or living out of my car then, but not like I remember like watching you on Instagram and just like I'm like in a Camry and I would just like if like I didn't have to crash, like I probably had to crash in my car, I'd say in over a 2-year period, maybe 30 to 40 times. So not full time, like I usually had a place to crash, but I remember like if I would have to just put my seat back and just like try and just like stare at the ceiling and just pray I fell asleep. But I remember watching.
First of all, I don't like to say crash anymore.
Oh, sorry.
No. When it's I'm not triggered, but it's like I'm mindful about that when I talk about staying with people. I never ask if I can crash anywhere after what happened to my Prius. But yeah, like you said, a lot of people that have an idea about van life, when you're doing comedy, it's very different because you're staying in hotels and comedy condos, or I have a wide network of friends from my time in Chicago all over the country and family. So when I had the Prius, it was like maybe once a week. that I was actually staying in the bed, because
Yeah.
while I built it to be comfortable on like a front seat situation, which I've also done many too many times, I built it to be as, I mean, I got the same mattress I had in the Prius in the van. It's memory foam.
Good.
It's very nice. Yeah, that was a pain in the ass to like assemble, to move everything around to like make it functional as a bed.
Yeah.
But
How long did it take you to get the Prius originally to like a suitable, like, I remember, because I think, I don't know when it was, but I remember you like were like, hey, I'm gonna rearrange everything, and then I saw it and I was like, that looks pretty comfy, like that looks manageable, that looks great. Like I see hangers, there's clothes on hangers, like, or what, I forget what it was.
I was always impressed with you could go into your own space. You had everything to go in the windows, and like you were like shut up, like you had your own little hut. It was great.
Yeah.
Thanks, man. Well, a couple things I gotta say is that, first of all, for you to phrase it as like the fact that your perception of that whole thing was like, yeah, I decided to just rearrange my own space, is like such a gift to know, and also like cool, because that's all it should look like, I guess, instead of the reality being that I was saving up to buy a van in 2019, and then I got arrested for marijuana in Oklahoma and had to spend all my money on that weed charge, and then ended up deciding out of desperation and in the middle of a probable mental breakdown to convert this Prius that I had.
Oh my God.
And so it's more in one of those lemonade situations of like, yeah, I'm glad I did it, because I was living out of the Prius for a few months leading up to that, where it was like kind of like, I can't live like this anymore.
Yeah.
So I had to do something, rearrange something. But part two of that response that has me just like, this is such a treat to be able to talk to the male of the species about this, because I'm like a gal that loves to dress up. I love a look. I think that's how you say it. I'm definitely the only road comic with such a wardrobe as I have.
Yeah.
And I always love collecting like fun clothes when I'm traveling too. So like, I didn't make room in the new build for like a bathroom or a kitchen. I just wanted like the ultimate green room with all my clothes and stuff. And the reason it's so funny to like hear guys be like, "Oh, you had hangers."
I mean, that's like the extent of I'm like, wow, if it's on a hanger, it's got to be a good shirt.
I never thought about hanging up my t-shirts like that for travel,
Yeah,
but
I know.
I just worked with a dude, and that's one of the fun examples of how it's so different as a gal on the road versus a guy doing showbiz. There's a guy I met we met in Alaska actually, but then we worked together in Wichita.
Oh, cool.
And he was talking to me about how, I'm sorry, I guess I harbor some sort of anger about it, because he was talking about how comedy came naturally, or like the decision to be a full-time comic came naturally, because everybody was like, you really just look like a comic how you dress, because his like everyday go-to is jeans and sneakers, Chucks, t-shirt, and a blazer. And I'm just like listening to him talk, thinking about how like, man, you just have to like get up and go. Like, I'm like, are my eyelashes in the right spot? Anyway,
I will say, when I was living out of my car, I would like, because I didn't tell any comics in New York that that's what I was doing. Like, some personal friends knew I was doing it, but for the most part, knowing it. But I would actually dress better then, probably arguably, than I dress now on stage, because I was
reflection.
Yeah, like I actually did have the hangers too. I had like a button car, and I always like had to make sure they were already steamed and everything. And because I just didn't want anyone to know. So that was I actually did dress better then than now. I'm like, all right, I'm going to put on whatever merch shirt someone gave me, and I'm going to get up there.
Yeah.
So when you were doing the car camping thing mostly, I mean, obviously you were all over the place, but were you kind of based in New York?
Yeah, I was based in New York, and I actually had to sleep in my car more in New York than I did when I was on the road, which is why I kind of kept staying on the road. And I would base a lot of my tours around kind of similar situation, like who I knew, who was in my network. where I could find a better couch. And then New York, I had 2 friends that could put me up. But if that didn't work, I'd be like, well, I got shows, so I guess this is what I'm doing. And sometimes I
Yeah.
would dog sit and like stay at the dog's place, and that was actually kind of nice because I was being paid to be there.
I feel like I don't know if this is funny or relatable. Maybe it's just me and it's sad, but like, I feel like if you stay with cool friends for like long enough, like just because COVID was so weird and stuff, that like normally I'm just like, I'm here for a night or, at the most a few days. If you stay long enough with cool people, you get kind of like promoted to like pet status, like you're kind of like their extra pet. But like if you move in with family, like if you move back with your parents and you stay too long, you get demoted down from the pet. Like they love the dog and wish you would leave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was my 2020. 9 months with my parents. They were like my mom, I think, had liked having me around because she's she's a stay-at-home mom, and all the kids were out of the house. That was the first time she ever had the kids out of the house, and they all came back. And I think she actually liked it a little bit because she's just like, oh, my babies are back. That was in Hagerstown, Maryland.
Okay, cool.
But my dad was just like, no one talked to me. No one make eye contact. I'm gonna be upstairs. I gotta work remotely. And when I come down, when we eat dinner, I'm not gonna say a word, and then I'm gonna go play my guitar and I'm gonna go to bed. And that wasn't how it was originally, but the last couple months, and then when it got down to just me and my parents, because my siblings went back to school, it was just like, still here, huh? And I was like, yeah, but I built a fire pit outside. They were like, we don't need a fire pit. Like, go do something. Get out of here.
Yeah. I mean, I never took for granted being in my parents' space, but they had like when I went on the road full time, I moved all my stuff into their basement in Texas, and they had offered it for like up to 5 years. They said would be fine. So like January of 2019, I moved all my like Chicago apartment stuff because I was just paying for an apartment and I wasn't using in Chicago mostly. So I put all my stuff down there, and like when I went there again in like the summer of 2019 after my arrest and to like build the car, like I felt I always try to like be at least like a gracious house guest, and like they had a farm, so I was like busting a sweat trying to help them on the farm, pulling weeds and whatever I could to feel like useful and like cut my mom's hair, all this stuff. But the moment the pandemic started, they had already decided. It was a really weird year before COVID for me. Because they randomly decided in like the end of January and February of 2020, they let me know that they were going to sell their farm and move into a camper.
Oh, wow.
And I had to put all my stuff in like a storage locker. And so like the day everything shut down, and not the day everything shut down, but like the day I got most of I lost like $3,000 in one day in bookings on the phone, and like I was sitting in the desert in Vegas where like the strip was like turned off, and my mom called. I was staying with people that were technically like family-ish, step family, but we had actually not ever met as adults, so they were very cool, and I got very lucky to be able to stay with them for a few weeks in the beginning of COVID. But my mom called and she's like, hey, just letting you know, like, you can't come here. So I had to like figure out the whole thing, and I couldn't get unemployment. And so I kind of have a short fuse when people talk about whatever was hard during COVID or whatever project they were able to work on, because I'm like, you don't have any idea what that was like.
Sure,
how did you navigate it?
What did you do?
I mean, it was shitty because, I didn't want to ask people to stay with them.
Right.
And I was one of the comics that was like going out and doing shows in spite of like what was safe or whatever, like before people had vaccines. So I did a few. I did like an all outdoor tour at one point in the summer when cases were down. And like I had a gig in a casino that I'd kept as the pay would like break even on the travel. And so I figured do something. Oh, I forgot the part where my engine fucking died in the middle of all of this, and I had to buy a new Prius engine, which I don't know if you know is like $6,000. So Yeah, I'm
Now,
like
was
bored.
was yours a hybrid or like full electric?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think all the Prius models are
Are they?
hybrid.
Okay.
And like I
I
still
have no
owed
idea.
money on the car, so it just didn't make sense like to not get a new anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're
Crazy.
so far deep, you're like, just fix it. I can't. I have no other option. Just fix it.
Yeah, no, I was trapped. And I mean, people were really generous, helpful. I got like a grant from like PPE
Oh,
for
cool.
like $1,000. Anyway, I got through that, but I was staying for the beginning, like 4 months. I stayed with these people in St. Louis that had offered. I was gonna kind of just like wait and hear what people were like reaching out to offer places.
Right.
And meanwhile, people are messaging me like, "Oh man, it seems like a great idea to live on the road right now." I'm like, "Don't, just live somewhere with a sink. Like wash your hands.
Yeah.
Leave me alone."
Leave me
Uh,
alone.
yeah, so I ended up at this place in St. Louis with these people I know from comedy. Christian Lawrence, great guy, and his wife Carrie, and I'd stayed with them like twice in comedy travels,
Yeah.
and like I planned on just kind of like staying a couple weeks at a time with people and kind of making my way to I think I was going to stay longer term in North Carolina. But then the first like there, we were chatting. She's like, "Yeah, somebody stayed here with us for 4 months once, so you're fine." And so I think I just locked in my head, I can stay here for 4 months.
I'm gonna get comfortable here. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I got food stamps there and a new engine. And then my brother finally got a place of his own because him and his girlfriend went through like a breakup right when COVID started and they were still living together. So he got his own place in Milwaukee. And so I went and moved up with him in like September of 2020.
Okay.
Yeah,
So,
that's the shortest explanation possible.
yeah, I bet. Because everyone had their own fucking journey that year, so it's interesting to see because you were where you were coming from, what you ended up doing. But I guess what I was going to ask is like, so when you start booking your tours, are you doing this on your own, or do you have someone assisting you, or are you like looking at the map and going, all right, so I got to be from here to here, and then I got to here, and then just going with it, or how are you doing it?
Yeah, it's definitely been on my own. I mean,
Oh,
like I work with Funny Business Agency and they've gotten me a few of their gigs, around. And anybody who works for Funny Business knows that there's usually a commute involved with their stuff. So
okay.
that's, I guess, kind of how it started is they started getting me some good paychecks with like feature spots and when I was just starting the headline. And so, yeah, I've just kind of adapted to it all just kind of adds up. You know what I mean? Like once
Right.
as you've done like festivals, you meet people and then
Yeah.
next thing you know random people and people in Bloomington, Indiana because of limestone. And that's
Yeah.
like we never thought you'd go to Bloomington, Indiana, but then you love it there. And I've had anybody who tours, I'm sure can tell you how rewarding and fun it is to go somewhere that like you never would have thought to go.
Yeah.
And that's usually because it's a place not a lot of people do go. And so those are some of my favorite shows.
Yeah.
Where
Absolutely.
it catches you off guard. You're like, oh, this is nice. I like this.
Yeah, and it's all different too. Like there's no set rate or guarantee or anything like that. Every shape, every place, every city, everything's different. So every venue, every drive, and now
Yeah.
with gas $5 a gallon, I'm definitely being more mindful about my mapping and stuff.
Yeah.
And also just being a little bit. I found out after some therapy, which obviously we can tell from the last story was necessary. The reason I'm good at touring is because I thrive in survival mode due to like
Okay.
my mental health issues.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to like learn how to enjoy it and like not need to be doing a show every night,
Right.
because that's not helping my creative process. So
Right. Going balls to the walls.
I mean, it's not hurting it. My shit's good.
Yeah, because it's like, I mean, it's like when you're driving, I mean, I don't know how you feel, but I always think like, oh, I'm gonna think of so much while I'm driving, and there's times where it's just dead air in my head, because like I don't know, it's not until I get to the destination and like sit maybe like a coffee shop like you're at or a restaurant, and that's when I think the creative juices get flowing and everything. Or I don't know, how do you feel? What's your process?
I wish I had dead air because I feel like I can't get a goddamn break. There's like always something bugging me, or like notifications that are unnecessary or important from my and I'm just trying to drive safely, so that keeps you pretty hyper aware. But like there's sometimes I go hours without even listening to anything because I'm like trying to do slow progress on. I do a lot of talk to text, like, you know, messaging and stuff like that with a lot of typos in it. And yeah, I don't feel like there's really ever a dull moment, you know? And but it's not like I'm like just like not able to think while I'm driving. I'm just like overloaded. Yeah. That's the only time I can decompress.
Other things taking mental power away.
Well, also when you're driving and depending on where there's service, it's like, like sometimes just to be able to shut off is such a gift, where like if I'm parked somewhere with Wi-Fi, I've probably got to update every app on my phone, and you know, so it's just, I'm trying to find more balance, but a lot of people are surprised, and I am glad to hear you say that about the fact that like the dead air, for the fact that a lot of people are surprised that I don't like listen to more podcasts or read or listen to audiobooks, but like sometimes I just really need those hours to decompress.
Yeah, absolutely.
Introverted person, and so like especially after COVID, being around, or during COVID, being around people all the time is like wild now, you know?
Right. Yeah. It's just overloading my sensory sometimes, where I'm like in a group and it's not even that many people. I'm like, I just want to go home. I don't want to be around here right now.
Yeah. And that's a lot of people, and especially people that have never really been out with people, but like even those of us who have, that just kind of had that downtime. I mean, for God's sakes, my friends had kids last year that are like not even learning how to talk yet because they didn't need to. You know, there's all kinds of weird effects from all of this.
Yeah. It's gonna have so many years down the road, so many implications. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, sorry. This is like the least funny podcast interview I've ever done. It's completely my fault.
No, that's why we
do something.
That's why we do the story, so the pressure's not there for it to be funny. You know, we just want to hear like how comedy has affected you, and this is how it affects you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, on that note, I'm kind of just like, we've all been through a lot, and I'm never gonna stop doing comedy or whatever that means to me. But like to me, that means like, I don't know. I'm just happy right now to be able to like, I mean, making people laugh is always number one.
Yeah.
But I'm just also grateful to be able to connect with people if I can ever like talk about something that like matters to them.
Yeah.
You know? So yeah, isn't it funny that comedy doesn't have to be funny anymore?
Right.
Yeah. Oh God.
It's just it's more about relating than anything.
Yeah. No. And yeah, there's so much weird pressure on comedians that I've learned to stay. I'm sure you guys know like how important it is to stay flexible when you're traveling with like what you talk about and like what people are able to hear and receptive to.
I was just talking to someone the other day about like taking the same set and trying to do like Portland, Maine, and then like a couple months later trying to work it out in Marfa, at a saloon in Marfa, Texas, like a mile from the border. And just like looking at the material and being like, okay, you got to drop this, you got to keep this, add this in there, and just moving it all around, and you know, trying to make both sets of people who have completely different lives and couldn't be more opposite, and just making them enjoy it, and hoping they enjoy it and connect to it and all that kind of stuff. Yeah,
it's changed for me. Has like, I'm kind of straddling this line of like, I'm committed to the idea of like making comedy that's funny enough or like relatable enough that it's funny no matter what perspective you hold, you know? But at this point, I'm also like, I'm not really in the business anymore of people pleasing the thoughtless, you know? Like,
Sure.
I'd rather say something thoughtful and connect to thoughtful people. So if somebody wants to laugh at something dumb or ignorant, there's something out there for them too. But I don't need to be their favorite comic. You know?
Have you found that there's a part of the country that just seems to get like you just seem to click with more?
I thought you were going to say, have you found there's a part of the country that's dumb?
I already know the answer to that one, unfortunately. It's most places.
No, it's so many places. And it really, honestly, the connections that I'm having feel better in places that are smaller cities, because it's like a liberal mindset, usually in a pretty red locale.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I want to I don't know. I want to be able to connect and make any of them laugh, but there's also something crazy to me about the idea of all these people listening, collectively. There's a show for 4 people or there's a show for 300 people, but I don't know. You're talking about making the same set work in Portland as in Marfa, Texas. I've never done the same set since.
Oh, really?
I don't. Yeah, I've not. Especially when I'm doing an hour.
Mm-hmm.
I've never done the same exact set. I mean, I've repeated jokes, of course, hundreds of times. But my writing process isn't even on paper. It's really kind of swirling.
And,
I mean, I just kind of see how they're feeling about whatever I'm saying and then decide what to do based on that,
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Do you have some jokes that you throw out as feelers at the beginning? Be like, let's see which route we're going here. Okay.
And I also have some jokes that are I'll say on purpose because I know if I'm doing an hour that they are little stuff I'm planning to be able to do callbacks later and things like that. But yeah, I'm also not married to that. I'm really proud of the fact I did an hour and 24 minutes the other night, which is my record to date. And there were several jokes in that hour 24 that weren't on my album, or jokes from before that didn't make it to the album. So without having it written down, really, I feel like I have maybe a half an hour of new material from when I recorded the album, and it's not ready, but I'm really excited about it because it's
that's amazing.
I care about it. Yeah.
I had a hard time kind of restarting after I recorded an album. Restarting that. All right, what's next joke wise? So I just now got a new 10 minutes after the album. I feel way better about it.
Yeah, it takes a while.
I mean, it's a weird thing. I feel like I never stopped. I feel like there was a definite moment before the recording that I stopped. I would just jot down a new idea, but not play with it. But even during COVID, a lot of it was on Zoom shows. I feel like I was always kind of whatever pace I was at, adding or tweaking, you know?
Yeah.
And also, I mean, speaking about doing the Prius build, that was, man, the first half of 2019, before I got arrested, and a little after that, I was in a relationship with another comic, and we were living out of my Prius together.
Oof.
Okay.
Oof.
Yeah. Can you believe it didn't work out?
Right. What drove you apart?
Well, we were mostly driving together, but neither one of us had a table to bring anything to, and yeah, I just kind of had a mental mini breakdown there after everything between the arrest and the breakup. So the 3 weeks that I was building my car and staying with my parents and pulling weeds and stuff like that, at that time was the longest break I'd taken from performing since maybe when I was brand new.
Yeah.
It was even when I was new, I was still hosting a weekly mic. So taking 3 weeks off was unthinkable to me.
Yeah. And
then I remember oh man, sorry. after that 3-week break, I did like one open mic in Texas in that time, but then I was coming back performing with doing co-headlining a club I won't even try to go back to because of how conservative and like sexist they are. It's the Grove in Lowell, Arkansas, and it's a great room, great audience. Like I've had a great time performing there, but never gonna even try to go. And I had to do a like clean half hour after 3 weeks of no performing, and I like was so nervous. Yeah. And I was also dealing with like a clearly sexist. The guy who runs it, right before I went on stage, leaned into me and he goes, "You sure you didn't make a mistake coming out here?"
Oh, fun. And there you go. That's really gonna get you feeling confident.
And then I went up and I fucking ripped off a hot one, and I mean it was a banger set. The next night was fun. That first set back though was like, I fucking rushed. And then I remember coming back. I mean, comedy was my only income, so I came back doing shows that paid like right away as soon as it felt safe or I could. Yeah. And I mean, so I was back performing. I did like Valentine's Day 2021. My point is just that like when I did that headlining casino gig weirdly in Oregon, like I'm not daunted by time off anymore. You know, like I've already had the experience of going like, oh, I can just do this.
Yeah. Right. Which is, I think, why your mentality is switching to going, okay, so I need to take some days and I enjoy them. And and you feel you have that confidence. It's like, if I take a day off, I'm not going to lose it. I can take 6 days off. I can take 3 weeks off, and then I'll be back and I'll be fine.
One thing I did want to talk about, because I have just started seeing you start pushing it online, is your album. So how did your album come to be?
Okay. Yeah, thanks. I'm pushing it real good, and it's coming out July 1st.
Yeah.
Alien Comedy Records. I challenged myself to be more decisive at a certain point because I was kind of just like flopping around and not having much of a plan. And so that's one of the things I'm working on right now. And one of my best friends, who's also a wonderful comedian, Gwen Sunkel in Indianapolis, she recorded her album last year and it was amazing. I ended up being able to go to the recording and it was so good. Yeah. And the album's wonderful. She's wonderful, but I just really admired her decision making. Like I did her like, goal, vision, execution. And so she really called me out one day. We were chatting and she goes, "Are you looking?" Because I was talking about wanting to do an album and just like talking about it without having any real goals laid out. And she said, "Are you looking for like solutions or do you just want to talk about it?"
Yeah.
And so I set my mind on it, and I believe I can do anything I set my mind to, but I really have to make that setting. And I ended up popping in on a one-nighter, like a Wednesday or a Tuesday, to do a show last minute at Planet of the Tapes in Louisville. And something about just being there made me feel like this is the spot.
Okay.
And I was scheduled to headline there in January anyway. So I was like, well, that's when I'm going to record my album.
Perfect.
There you go. Yeah.
Another part of the reason I decided on doing it there is because that night that I did that last minute, like random weeknight show, there was like hardly anybody there, but the people that were there were like pumped to tell their friends to come back. So I decided to record in a place where I didn't really know anybody because that would get me an audience of people that I could like. I'm making them laugh because it's funny, not because they are there for me.
Yeah.
Right. And it's fresher. It's fresher, right?
Yeah, and I mean, I was laughing my ass off at Gwen's album, so I know that that's a glitch in my head, and it's not necessarily like fact-based, but it was a challenge that I really wanted for myself for this.
Yeah, well, that's awesome. Like you said, because I mean, spot on with that. Like once you put your mind to doing an album, you have to set out. I've never had more checklists in my life Then when I started put it out, I was like, all right, I got to hit this. I got to make sure I do this. I got to submit this. I got to register my name as the album. Like it's.
So did you self-produce it?
Yeah.
So I was set up to do that. That was my original plan that I had determined to do once I was at Planet of the Tapes, and that checklist you're talking about. I have a hard time doing anything extra. I couldn't do a podcast while I'm traveling. I have a hard time. I mean, even just doing one with you guys is like, just to navigate it all. But yeah, I had hired, or I had made a deal with somebody to hire a sound engineer and do it all independently. When did you record yours?
February 19th.
Oh, okay. I think it was COVID that made this change in the whole thing, but basically like so many people self-produce and put out content during COVID that now if you're putting out an album, you need to go through a label to get it even like considered for serious radio. Yeah. So I'm just glad that like I called them early and they were excited to work with me, because that checklist you're talking, I never worked so hard in my life with the promo just to fill that room of people who had never heard of me.
You're right.
But yeah, like the technical aspect of it, yeah, forget it. I'm not built for that. You saw me just have a meltdown at Zoom.
That's fair. That is fair.
Yep.
So how did the connection with Helium come about?
I reached out to them. I'd seen them working with some of the people who I feel like are in my kind of class, and yeah, I was psyched. I just sent an email and like, then I was like, okay, send, and then let's hit the road, baby. And like, I was driving through Michigan and he wrote back so fast that I was like, oh my gosh, like they're excited. And I had to like pull over and I had no service to like respond. I just didn't expect to hear back so quickly, but they are really building their roster right now. And Jeremy Essig is the sound engineer for Helium, and he was a comic for years. So and he also toured as a musician.
Okay.
So it's really awesome to work with somebody who just like gets it,
Yeah.
And so yeah, I mean, after my Prius got totaled by a drunk driver in Austin, good times, LOL, party on. I hate Austin. What? No, don't say that. Austin. Nope, I hate it. I officially hate Austin. Okay.
I feel like that's fair.
I think it used to be a great place, and that's the best I can say about it.
Do you think you could reconcile with Austin down the road?
I mean, I'm looking forward to the next stops I have planned there. There's many good people I love that are in Austin, but no, as a place right now, it's headed towards being worse, not better.
That's fair.
And I'm not into it.
Yeah.
Also, whoever designed all of Texas is a monster with the infrastructure. I can tell you for sure that whoever's profiting off gas and cement is doing fine down there, but otherwise, like, oh my God, $5 gallon gas. I can't imagine having to drive around all those loops right now. Anyway, Texas, I don't care for. What else can I say? What was the question? My album? How did that come about? Because I'd recorded in January, but then I couldn't even think about like post-production stuff, like while I was dealing with the car and all this other, going to Alaska and cool things and crazy things. So yeah, once I finally got back up to the Midwest, I was able to like finally listen to it. I didn't even listen to the recording. He sent it to me in February. Didn't even hit play until I was in Alaska when I finished the notes. But yeah, I listened to it before Alaska, and then luckily when I was in Arizona, my friend who was my photographer in Chicago did an amazing photo shoot with me when I was in Arizona in April. And so somehow in the middle of all that chaos, we ended up doing a perfect photo shoot for the album cover. And
that's at that gas station?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, and I mean, when we shot it, gas was expensive, but nobody knew it was going to get as bad as it is now. So I feel like an extra strong statement than
Yeah.
I mean, the whole concept is like it says the album name Calmity over the gas station. So like in my mind, it's like it's a closed down gas station. There's no pumps left, but it's like yeah, there's this thing that you need and only I have, and I've got an endless resource of bringing it to
Yeah.
your
Yeah,
town.
I like that.
So yeah. Anyway, that's my thing.
Cool.
Comedy, yeah, it's gonna be. I'm really proud of it. I'm really critical of myself, and I'm really excited.
That's awesome. Yeah, I
That's-
uploaded mine to DistroKid the other day, and just seeing it on a screen, I don't know, it made me feel just super excited and
Yeah.
proud of it for sure.
Yeah, DistroKid, I signed up an account with during COVID, but they might even still be taking money from me. I should really look into that. But,
Yeah, make sure you hit that. Do not keep doing this every year.
Please.
yeah, I
Give
mean,
my money back.
I'm trying to figure out how somebody. I mean, it made me emotional when he said it, but I was very flattered. I don't know if you know Jeff Bailey, who's based out of Peoria, Illinois. He works
don't.
like regularly at the jukebox, but Jeff was asking me. He's like, I've never seen him not crush. He should be out there everywhere because he's amazing. But he's, I think, got a pretty happy life there. So he's less like pressed to like hit the
How dare
road,
you.
Those happy
Yeah.
people. Ugh.
Yeah, his happy relationship and stable home life. Anyway, so he's finally getting out there. He's doing Altercation Fest this year, and we were just chatting about like some like less like road advice and more like I don't know, like spiritual beliefs about doing this, like
Mhm.
what the purpose of it is. And he described me as a one woman punk band of comedy, which is I mean, yeah, like you're not just writing jokes or whatever, like you're navigating TikTok. I'm nearly 40. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's everything. And then right now somebody was helping me with my website, which was awesome, but they're not like there anymore. So I'm trying to figure out how to like build my own website, like
Yeah.
while I'm parked yesterday at a laundromat. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
not
yeah.
reasonable. But yeah, I'm going in with a real luckily I love photography, so like some of it Instagram I can enjoy when it's working and like
Right.
sharing photos
That's
makes
my
me
favorite.
happy.
Yeah, I just
Yeah.
have Instagram.
Yeah, so I'm really excited to share I haven't shared most of the photos from the photo shoot we did back in April, so yeah, that's like even though a lot of the work is already done, it's like yeah, that's my main effort this week
Yeah.
for album promo.
Yeah. Next step's all
Yeah.
promo. Yeah, yeah.
I actually don't have an album release show planned, which is I have to figure that out at some point.
Yeah.
It feels like a little bit of a failure, but it's also like it is what it is,
Well, the few times I've thought about it a few times too, and every time I think about it, I'm just like, oh, it's a lot.
Yeah, but they're pretty fun. I mean, my second album doesn't count, but my first album, like the promo show we did was a blast. Like I just had a bunch of friends on it and then closed it out. Like we did it in a brewery in Long Island City, New York. Like it was just like a party. It was it wasn't really even it was just like a really nice like all right, we accomplished this thing, and I had a lot of friends that helped me get that first album out, and it was nice having them all there. And yeah, we just partied and like I can say I did new material, but it was mostly just me being drunk and being like, here's a story I haven't told before, But it was I don't know, that was my favorite part of getting the album out was just the fun there.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that's fun. For me, it's like easier to pick a spot that I don't know a lot of people than it is to choose which are my favorite people because I have so many close
Right.
like, little communities, comedy communities, friend communities, kind
Yeah.
of scattered. So like there's multiple options really. It's not
Right.
like I'd have to but then on the other hand, I mean the truth is like I haven't stopped moving since January of this year. I mean, once I hit the ground running for promoting the album release, it's been one thing after another of like getting back packed into the Prius and on the road, and then the Prius getting totaled and having to rearrange and get a new. Like I haven't had time, so like now I'm coming up on the album release, and that's kind of like I'm pushing myself to get to that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also July 4th weekend, and
Yeah, it's a little tough.
it's tough. And also Helium kind of, I was counting on them to give me like a weekend for the album release and like one of their smaller stages. And like they've been dealing with a problem in Austin. And so they have been not able to even like respond to anybody about bookings for months. So
Yeah.
Way to go, Austin.
yeah, Austin sucks hard ass. And yeah, so I don't have the physical copies yet. As a road hobo, I'm definitely going to have like physical copies to sell on the road, even though it's like outdated. But I think the cover art is like, worth buying and stuff.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I've also seen headliners still to this day like have a stack of CDs and a stack of the download cards, and those CDs go way faster than those download cards.
Yeah. I mean, people just want to buy like little souvenirs from your show, even if they don't have a disc player. I feel like people are more likely to buy a disc sometimes,
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I am.
Yeah.
I'll probably buy a disc, like if I want to keep something from somebody.
Right.
So yeah, once I have the actual physical discs, I'll figure out a place to do a release party. And I mean, this whole summer feels like my album release like tour. Can I just say? Can I go with that? Can I just say that every show I'm doing this summer is an album release?
I don't see why.
Yeah, there you go. Do it.
See why not?
Because otherwise, honestly, at this point, what do you guys think about this? Honest response. I was thinking about doing an Instagram live or like TikTok live. Don't get me started trying to figure that out, but I'm just gonna like buy a bunch of fireworks and spark off a bunch of fireworks in Indiana on the 1st and be like, it's out.
I think
genius.
You have to
that's
do
genius.
that now. Yeah.
Who doesn't like fireworks?
Yeah.
Who in their right mind is gonna be like, didn't care for that one?
Dogs.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I'll just shoot off some fireworks and like talk. I don't know.
Yeah,
I say lean into that July 4th and go for it. Yeah, that's perfect.
Fire a Roman candle into a passing car.
Because you know it's going to hit whatever algorithm,
well.
Instagram's going to be like, ooh, fireworks.
I wish I knew more people that were like, I just like, do you know like Tim McLaughlin?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I just need somebody who's like a good person, but also like enough of a scumbag that they know their way around some fireworks.
Just start looking at the next few mics you go to and see who's just barely missing a pinky,
Yeah, like I want to do this, but I'm also like, I do not trust myself.
Yeah. There's an actual procedure that might need to be followed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Come through Tennessee, they got fireworks for sale at every corner around July 4th. So.
Yeah, I've put out some feelers to my Indiana pals to see if they know anybody who's just scummy enough to help me with this.
Always Indiana.
Yeah, well, I'm going to be near Indiana, and like, I mean, I could have also broadened my horizons as far as like gone back to Louisville or like so many places I could try to have gone for the album release. But yeah, like where I'm at mentally, where gas prices are at, I'm like, where am I going to be? And what can I do?
That's an important thing.
Practical, yeah.
Where do you want to be?
And because I'm a road comic, you can bet your ass I'm usually in Indiana.
Yeah.
The crossroads, baby.
Yeah. So where all are you hitting for the summer tour, the summer release tour?
Yeah, my release tour. I should probably write that down somewhere and make it official. So I'm really excited. I'm opening for Maria Bamford this weekend on Sunday. So like that's a dream and a half come true.
Right. That's fantastic.
Yeah, I'm so excited. And then I'm doing Doug Loves Movies on Zoom, so I better figure out my tech.
Hell yeah.
Like the day before the album release. But I'll be doing that in Springfield, Illinois. I have a show in Springfield, Illinois on the 29th. And that'll be kind of like my pre-release show, party show with my Springfield, Central Illinois pals. That's at Buzz Bomb Brewery. And then I'm not going to lie, I think I've got like 6 gigs booked in July and August. And I'll be adding more. I've been talking to a few people about setting a few things up, but I'm feeling pretty okay about that. I really wanted to like run in with all this momentum and like do a crazy tour to promote the album, but I think that my energy would be best put towards taking some time off the road to try to actually make something with all of this content that I'm just holding and I haven't put online yet, like videos of the car build and like TikTok stuff that it's like I can't do that while touring, you know?
Yeah, right,
so
right.
I think I need a park to be able to like go through some of my pictures, go through, you know, things like that that will still bring views and likes to my stuff. It's just I don't know. Oh, and the other thing is I need to figure out where I'm gonna live. So I'm like really ready to make some.
Is there any front runners?
Lacrosse right now, but that's because I'm here and I'm having a great time. Yeah, there's several front runners. I don't know yet, but yeah. So that was kind of like I knew that's what I'm cranking up the back burner on that process right now because I've kind of like have been ready to make that, or that's been something I want to do this year, all year, but I haven't let myself think about it until now.
Throw it up on an Instagram poll and do the top 4 front runners and let the people decide. And then
She's like,
I was gonna say, well, and then when your gut says no, then you at least can narrow one down.
No.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. I want this to be something that I want for me, and I can tell you this: wherever I decide to live, I kind of have no interest in like really. I mean, not no interest. I'm going to appreciate whatever comedy scene is in place there, but I'm not making this decision based on where the best comedy scene is because I'm going to be traveling anyway.
Right. Yes, it doesn't matter. Yeah.
So I might try to live somewhere that's in the middle of nothing.
That's awesome.
You know?
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's fantastic. Well, where all can they find you on the internet?
Oh, you know what? Actually, I will say Lacrosse has going for it is that because of like glaciers and stuff like that, this territory of Wisconsin, I just learned today, it's called the driftless area. And I think that if you've been a drifter, it's a good thing.
Sign.
That's a good
in
sign.
the driftless territory.
Point Lacrosse.
What was the question?
Oh, where all can they follow you? Yeah. There we go. Perfect.
No, not on Tinder. You can go ahead and look. And if I am there, please let me know. I tried to delete that years ago. Also, same for speaking arrangement. Really, that was a sad move during COVID, and I don't know if I have the stomach to go on there and like actually delete my account. So it might still be on there, but I'm not seeking an arrangement. I'm not actually seeking any arrangements except for you buying my debut album, Comedy. You can follow me on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. My website is reenacalm.com. You would think I'd have gotten good at saying these things by now. Nope. Instagram, as we discussed, I think is my favorite. And the link to buy my album is in my bio, I think, on all that stuff. You know what? I don't think I've even posted about this on Twitter yet, but you can follow me on Twitter as well. I should post about my album. You can see what I decide to say about my album release on Twitter when I finally pop it in there. Yeah.
That's called leaving them with something to look forward to.
Yeah.
Yeah. My Instagram, I am very proud of my photos. And so, yeah, that's the best one. And yeah, come check out the stuff from my shoot with Reenas Photo.
Nice.
There we go.
Thank you so much for sitting down with us. Even thank you for dealing with the technical difficulties. I appreciate you powering through that.
Be happy.
Hey,
both your backgrounds, both excellent backgrounds.
Yeah, that's important.
It is. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Hit that subscribe button. We will see you next week.
Believe in your dreams, or don't.
Don't.
On that funky, on that brand.